I stared at the pink slip in my trembling hands. The stark words "position eliminated" swimming before my eyes like accusations. 6 years at Western Ridge Financial. Poured down the drain with a pat on the back and a meager severance check. They called it restructuring, but it felt like a gut punch. Especially in this economy out here, in Arizona's high desert, where jobs were as scarce as rain. The sun was dipping low over the red rock canyons outside our window, casting long shadows across the kitchen tile. I heard the garage door rumble open, and my heart clenched. Travis would be home any minute, his pickup truck crunching over the gravel driveway. I shoved the letter into my purse, forcing a smile as his boots thudded up the porch steps. He burst in, loosening his tie. That same rugged charm I'd fallen for a decade ago still clinging to him like dust on a cowboy hat. At 38, Travis looked every bit the successful ranch supply executive. Broad shoulders, sun-weathered skin, eyes that used to sparkle with warmth but now held a sharper edge, like he'd been tallying scores in his head for years. "Hey, darlin'," he drawled, pecking my cheek before heading to the fridge for a cold one. "Rough day at the office?" I swallowed hard, my mind racing. How do you tell your husband of 8 years that the life you'd built together just cracked open? Travis. They let me go today. Budget cuts. The words hung in the air, heavy as monsoon clouds. He paused mid-sip, setting the bottle down with a deliberate clink on the granite counter we'd picked out together at the Home Depot in Phoenix. His expression shifted, not to concern, but to something colder, more calculated. Word gets around fast in this town. Heard about the layoffs from a buddy at the chamber meeting. He leaned back, crossing his arms. "So, you're out." I nodded, waiting for the hug, the reassurance, that we'll get through this, that marriages are supposed to promise. Instead, he sighed, like I'd just become a liability. "Well, that changes things, Emily. We've always gone halves on everything: mortgage on this place, utilities, groceries, truck payments. That's how we roll, right? Fair's fair." My stomach twisted. "Travis, I'll find something soon. This is temporary. We can lean on each other till then." He shook his head, his voice flat as the desert floor. "Nah. I've been thinking on this. I pull in good money, over $150K a year now with bonuses. You've been making what? $60K? I've been carrying more than my share for a while. And now, no more. From here on, it's strict 50-50. I'll cover my half, you handle yours." The room spun. This was the man who'd whispered vows under the stars at our Sedona wedding, promising to stand by me through dust storms and droughts. Now he was drawing lines in the sand like a banker auditing a loan. "But I just lost my job today. Give me time." "Not my problem." He grabbed his beer and turned away, like the conversation was as done as yesterday's news. Inside, a storm brewed, not rage yet, but a deep, aching clarity. Who was this stranger? Had I been blind to the cracks in our foundation? The way he'd always steered us toward his dreams, his promotions, while I put mine on hold. I thought of the nights I'd stayed up balancing our books, making sure every penny squared, while he golfed with clients. My mind screamed questions. How could love turn so transactional? Was I worth nothing without a paycheck? I didn't argue. Instead, I nodded slowly. "Okay. 50-50ths it is." His brow furrowed. He'd expected tears. Maybe a fight. But I saw it then. He underestimated me. As he headed to the den, I sat there, the sunset bleeding red across the sky, and whispered to myself, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning of seeing you clearly." That night, as he snored beside me, my thoughts churned like a flash flood. 8 years of shared sunrises, barbecues with neighbors, drives through the canyons. Had it all been a facade? I felt the weight of betrayal settling in, not just in his words, but in the doubt he planted in my soul. Was I really so dependent? No. I decided. Tomorrow, I'd start digging. The next morning, Travis left at dawn for a supply run to Tucson, his routine as predictable as the rising sun. I had the house to myself, our modest ranch-style home on the outskirts of Flagstaff, with its wide porch and views of the pines. But I headed straight to his home office, the room he claimed as his territory, filled with files on feed contracts and market reports. Travis loved order, everything labeled and locked, but I'd always had a key. Before Western Ridge, I'd studied accounting at Arizona State, crunching numbers like puzzles. I wasn't the helpless spouse he painted me as. I started with our joint checking statements, pulled from the oak filing cabinet. At first glance, everything looked square, but my trained eye caught discrepancies, cash withdrawals I didn't recall, $400 here, $700 there, totaling over $3,500 in the last few months. My pulse quickened. Why? For what? I snapped photos with my phone, my mind whispering doubts. Was this just paranoia? Or had he been hiding something all along? Deeper in, our savings showed similar drains, transfers to an unfamiliar account. One notation jumped out, monthly $1,200 to a number I didn't know. Buried in a folder marked Old Taxes, I found it a personal savings in Travis's name only. Balance, $72,000. My breath hitched. He'd been siphoning our shared funds for years while preaching equality. But worse, the transactions screamed secrets, dinners at fancy steakhouses in Phoenix we'd never visited together, hotel stays during his business trips, jewelry from shops I'd never stepped foot in. One charge gutted me, a romantic getaway to Lake Powell. The weekend, he claimed a conference in Vegas. Spa for two. Champagne included. I sank into his leather chair, tears stinging but unshed. How long had this double life festered? My inner voice raged. You gave up that promotion in Phoenix for his job here. You cooked, cleaned, supported for this? Betrayal clawed at my chest. Not just the money, but the intimacy stolen. Who was she? Because there had to be a she. My phone buzzed, a text from Travis. Hope you're pounding the pavement for jobs. Mortgage due soon. I stared at the screen, then at the evidence of his hidden fortune. The hypocrisy burned. He worried about my half while hoarding enough to buy a new truck outright. I kept going. Credit cards revealing more, gifts, trips, a life parallel to ours. And in his investment files, proof he'd been playing the market solo with our money, despite telling me we couldn't afford risks. My mind swirled with hurt. Why me? What did I miss in those loving glances? Was our love ever real? Or just convenient? By evening, as his truck pulled in, I'd compiled a digital fortress of proof. But I played calm, asking about his day over dinner. Inside, resolve hardened. He thought me weak, but I'd turn this pain into power. As days blurred into a week, the ache in my chest deepened, a constant companion like the dry wind whistling through the pines outside our Flagstaff home. Travis's ultimatum replayed in my mind during sleepless nights. Not my problem. It echoed my deepest fears of being unseen, unworthy, without a salary. I'd always prided myself on independence, growing up in a small Arizona town where my mom ran a local diner single-handedly after Dad skipped out. Yet here I was, questioning if I'd let marriage erode that strength. My inner turmoil gnawed. Had I ignored the signs? The late nights he blamed on client dinners, the way he dismissed my career ambitions as not practical for our life out west? I couldn't confront him yet. The hurt was too raw, demanding proof beyond doubt. So I drove to Mom's place in Sedona, the red rocks rising like silent witnesses as I navigated the winding roads. Her diner, Red Rock Eats, hummed with the scent of chili and cornbread, a far cry from our polished kitchen. At 62, Sarah Jenkins was a force, calloused hands,
sharp wit,
eyes that saw through bullshit. Emily, honey, you look like hell warmed over, she said, wiping flour from her apron as I slid into a booth. I spilled it all over coffee, the layoff, Travis's cold split, the hidden accounts, the affair I suspected. My voice cracked on the details, emotion surging, shame for not seeing it, fury at his deceit, a profound sadness for the love I'd lost. He treated me like a line item.
Mom.
Like I was disposable. She listened, her face hardening like sun-baked clay. That snake. I never trusted his smooth talk, always flashing that truck like it made him king of the desert. Men like him think they're coyotes, but they're just scavengers. Her words stirred memories, subtle warnings over the years. How he'd isolate me from family gatherings, claiming work fatigue. I defended him, blind to the control.
Now,
regret flooded me. Why did I prioritize his comfort over my instincts? But you're not broken.
Eminencia.
You're pissed. And that's fuel.
She squeezed my hand.
What now? You gonna let him ride off into the sunset with your money? I shook my head, tears welling.
No.
But reporting him, it feels like burning everything. Our home, our memories, good ones mixed with bad. What if I'm wrong? You're not. And even if, trust your gut. Remember how I rebuilt after your dad? One plate at a time.
She paused.
I need help here. Busy's booming with tourists. And my books are a mess. Could use your accounting smarts. A job? Here? The idea sparked a flicker amid the darkness. You serious? Dead serious. Pays fair. And it's yours. Not tied to some husband who thinks he's God's gift. Her offer hit deep. Independence. Purpose. My mind raced with possibilities, battling the fear of change. Could I rebuild without him? Yes, whispered my resolve, drowning the doubt. I started that afternoon, waiting tables, balancing ledgers. The work grounded me, hands busy while thoughts stormed. Travis's betrayal wasn't just financial, it eroded my self-worth. Each customer's smile reminded me of my value beyond a marriage. But evenings, back home, I played the part, job-hunting wife, while digging deeper on his laptop. Password, our anniversary plus his lucky rodeo number. Emails confirmed the affair. Can't wait for our next getaway.
Love. Lisa.
Lisa Hayes, his colleague at the supply firm. Messages hinted at shady deals, fudging invoices, skimming from clients. Move the funds before quarter end, one read. My heart pounded. This was fraud. Clear as day under Arizona law, where embezzlement could mean prison. The discovery intensified my inner conflict. Part of me wanted vengeance, to see him suffer as I had. But another ached for the man I'd loved, the one who'd danced with me at county fairs. Was redemption possible?
No.
The evidence screamed. He'd chosen this path. I forwarded anonymized snippets to a lawyer friend for advice. This looks like marital asset dissipation. You could claim it all in divorce. Legality clarified the fog. Community property state, half was mine. But fraud tilted scales. One night, Travis came home reeking of bourbon. Any luck on jobs? He slurred, collapsing on the couch. Some leads. I lied. My voice steady despite the rage bubbling.
Inside.
I screamed, "You thief! You liar! How dare you judge me while hiding thousands?" He smirked. Good. Can't carry dead weight forever. The cruelty pierced deeper than before, amplifying my sorrow. This wasn't love, it was ownership. As he passed out, I cried silently, mourning the illusion. But from that grief rose fiercer determination. I'd expose him, not for revenge, but justice. And maybe, in the ruins, find mercy for us both. The emotional torrent inside me swelled like a desert flash flood, drowning reason in waves of grief and fury. 2 weeks in, working at Mom's diner had become my lifeline, the clatter of plates a rhythm against the chaos in my head. But Travis's secrets haunted me, every email, every hidden charge replayed like a nightmare loop. I questioned everything. Was our entire marriage a con? The Sedona hikes where he'd promised forever, lies? The pain cut deeper now, evolving from shock to a profound sense of loss, as if I'd buried the man I thought I knew. My inner monologues turned torturous. You fool. Emily. You built your world around him. And he chipped it away penny by penny. I needed more proof. Clarity on the legality to anchor my unraveling mind. So I met Detective Mark Rivera at the Flagstaff PD, a no-nonsense cop specializing in white-collar crimes. In his cramped office, surrounded by case files, I laid out the photos, emails, statements. This isn't just cheating, I said, voice trembling with pent-up rage. It's theft from me, from his company.
Rivera nodded.
Scanning the docs. Looks solid. In Arizona, hiding marital assets during marriage is fraud. Embezzlement from clients? That's felony territory, up to 12 years if amounts exceed $100K. But we need ironclad evidence for warrants. His words fueled my turmoil. Pursue this. And Travis's life crumbles. A sliver of pity emerged, memories of him helping Mom fix her roof after a storm. But betrayal overshadowed. He'd stolen not just money, but trust, leaving me hollow. What if he has reasons? I whispered to myself later, driving home. No, stop excusing him. You're worth more. That evening, Travis announced, Lisa's coming over Friday. Work stuff. Lisa, the name from emails. My stomach lurched, jealousy mixing with sorrow. She got the romance I'd craved. I nodded sweetly, but inside, a storm raged. How dare he parade her here, in our home? Detective Rivera had advised encouraging contact. Slips could seal the case. Friday, Lisa arrived polished, confident, in designer jeans that screamed Phoenix chic. Over my homemade enchiladas, they bantered in code. That supplier deal paid off big, Travis said, winking. Returns exceeding expectations. I served quietly, recording mentally for Rivera. But when Lisa left her phone out, Travis glanced at it, muttering,
Damn.
The audit sniffing around the Hayes account. My heart raced. His company's name matched hers. Overheard in the kitchen. We gotta move the funds offshore quick, Lisa hissed. Someone's talking. Panic in their voices amplified my emotions. Fear for what I'd unleash, but exhilaration at their unraveling. That night, Travis was tender, bringing wine. Love you.
Eminencia.
We're solid, right? I smiled, but inside wept. Solid? You built us on sand. After he slept, I called Rivera, relaying details. This accelerates things, he said. FBI might join. Wire fraud across states. The weight crushed me. Prison? For the father I once dreamed he'd be? Tears flowed as I stared at the ceiling. Why couldn't you choose us? Travis? Why force my hand? Grief morphed into resolute anger. His choices, not mine. I'd protect myself. Legally. Humanely. Next, I consulted divorce attorney Karen Mills in Phoenix. With this fraud, she said, reviewing files, Arizona courts can award you the house. Half his pension, more if we prove dissipation. Prenup? None? Even better. Her assurance stirred hope amid despair, a future without him. But secure. Yet doubt lingered. Am I becoming the villain? No, the law was my shield. Back home, Travis grew suspicious. You seem
Off.
happier. Adjusting, I said, masking the turmoil. Inside, if only you knew the storm I've weathered because of you. The emotional depth hit harder now, regret for lost years. But budding strength. I'd end this not with hate, but lessons learned. The anguish clawed deeper. A relentless vice on my soul, as if every revelation peeled back layers of my heart. 3 weeks post-ultimatum. The diner's bustle couldn't fully silence the cacophony in my mind, Travis's laughter with Lisa echoing, his casual dismissals replaying. I grieved, not just the marriage, but the self I'd lost, confident Emily reduced to a shadow. Doubting her worth. Inner voices battled fiercer. You deserved better. Why cling to illusions? Yet pity surged for Travis, trapped in his greed. Could I forgive? Save him from himself. His carelessness peaked. He brought Lisa around openly. Their work meetings thinly veiled. I documented for Rivera. Each photo a stab, hotel receipts. Coded texts about transfers. One night, overhearing them, the FBI's circling, client complaints, Lisa whispered. We bail now. Head to Mexico. Travis's fear-laced reply, can't. Too much tied here. Emily's suspects nothing. Their words ignited volcanic rage. Nothing? I've carried your secrets like stones, but beneath, profound sadness. This man, once my anchor, now adrift in lies. I called Rivera immediately. They're spooked. Planning flight. We move tomorrow, he said. Arrest warrants ready. Stay safe. That night, as Travis slept, emotions overwhelmed. Terror at the fallout. Sorrow for our shattered vows. Tears soaked my pillow. How did love sour so? Was I blind? Or did you change? Dawn brought resolve, justice, tempered with humanity. I'd offer him a plea chance, a lighter path if he confessed. The raid unfolded like a nightmare. I job hunted at Mom's, phone glued to hand. Rivera's call, done. Travis and Lisa are in custody. Accounts frozen. Over $150K embezzled, federal charges. Relief crashed. But grief followed, imagining Travis in cuffs. Stripped of bravado. He called from jail. Voice broken.
Help me.
Misunderstanding. Bail me out, please. His pleas tore me. The man I'd loved begging.
No.
Travis. I know everything, the accounts. Lisa. The fraud. Silence. Then desperation. I can explain. Mistakes. We can fix us. Mistakes? You stole from our life. Rage boiled. But empathy tempered. You need help. Not enabling. Face this. I hung up,
Sobbing.
The depth of loss hit. Not just him, but innocence.
Yet.
In the void, freedom beckoned. Attorney Mills updated. With confessions, you'll get the ranch. Investments, about 350K total. Clean break.
Court day.
Seeing Travis shackled, eyes pleading, regret mirrored mine. Lisa beside him, defiant shell cracked. My testimony sealed it, but I added, I hope he finds redemption. Emotions peaked, forgiveness budding amid pain. Post-hearing, at the ranch, sunset bathed the canyons. I wandered rooms, memories flooding, laughter.
Fights.
Goodbye, old life, I whispered, heart aching yet hopeful. Mom called, diners expanding, tourist boom. Partners? Yes, I said, tears of joy mixing sorrow. The emotional crescendo from betrayals abyss. Ideklimbat. Stronger, wiser. The emotional maelstrom reached its zenith. A hurricane of sorrow, rage, and nascent peace that threatened to consume me whole. 6 months post-arrest. Travis's sentencing loomed, and every fiber ached with the weight of what we'd become. Nightly, I replayed our story, from starry Sedona nights to this fractured reality. Grief dominated, for lost dreams, for the man he'd been, for the woman I'd allowed myself to become. Inner cries echoed. Why him? Why us? Could love have prevailed if I'd spoken sooner? In court, Travis pleaded guilty to reduced charges, embezzlement,
Fraud.
8 years, but with good behavior.
Less. Lisa got 5.
His eyes met mine. I'm sorry.
Iminência.
I lost myself in greed. The apology pierced deepest. Unleashing floods. Forgiveness? Possible. But boundaries firm. I hope prison teaches you, I said post-sentencing. Visiting briefly. Value people over dollars. He nodded. Tears falling. I did love you. Screwed it up. Leaving. Emotions overwhelmed. Pity. Residual love. Profound relief. The humane path, urging his plea, lightened my burden. Lesson learned. Trust. But verify, strength lies in vulnerability. Divorce finalized. I kept the ranch. Assets totaling 380K. Clean. Per Arizona law. But true wealth? Rebuilding. Mom's diner thrived as Jenkins eats. Our partnership blooming. I consulted part-time. Numbers my solace. One evening, on the porch, canyons aglow. Peace settled. The storm had passed, leaving clarity. Betrayal forges resilience. Ideation. Not vengeful, but wiser, embracing life's uncertainties with open heart. Travis's fall taught mercy, my rise. Self-worth. In the desert's vastness, I found freedom. Emotions finally at rest.